Bangkok Breaking is Netflix's second original Thai series. It's 6 episodes, an hour long each. But is it any good? Let's find out. Newly arrived in Bangkok, Wan Chai joins the road rescue service and unravels a citywide conspiracy with the help of a journalist. I do like me some Netflix world cinema. I guess that's what you class them if you're an English speaker. If you don't speak the native language of the series you're watching, and you're probably going to have to watch in subtitles or watch the dubbing, then you probably class it as a little bit world cinema. This is definitely a slow burn, and some places have classed this or basically described this as high octane intensity, and I would say that's going to do it a disservice. If you go in thinking that this series is high octane, lots of action, then that's not what you get. It's basically a puzzle piece. Something happens to our protagonist at the beginning. It's a fairly well choreographed accidents that we see that basically incorporates all the big players that are actually going to be involved in this story. And then we see Wonji, who loses his brother in that moment. It's in the trailer, it's not a spoiler, right at the beginning. And the story revolves around him trying to figure out what his brother was into, as well as finding this job as a rescue serviceman. And so we see a few medical procedures, I guess, or moments which I thought were quite fun in the 6 episodes. But we also see this journalistic story being puzzle pieced together, a few relationships formed. And so as the story unfolds, as you would expect it to, we start learning as well as like a fly on the shoulder of Wanchi. And eventually we get the answers that we are looking for. It does feel like it takes its time getting there, and this does feel like it could be a 2.5-hour movie. The story could have been told. There are lots of scenes that didn't need to be in the series. It does feel like they have a lot of monologues that don't need to be in there. At the same time, there is some incredible cinematography, fantastic looking shots, very vibrant city nightlife. It feels very realized, very lived in. I also think this is what culture shock or culture differences sometimes when you're watching something and you don't quite understand the mannerisms or the things in place, the respect. There's a lot of bowing like this to show your respect to people that are, I think, a class above you or your elder. There is a lot of that going on. And that's just a small example as I'm giving as to part of the culture that is incorporated in the filming, in the story, that maybe you wouldn't get and sometimes will feel out of place. And you'll feel like, why are they talking like that? Even the dialogue feels a bit off, a bit weird. And I think that a lot of that does come to culture, but it also comes out to the pacing and the tone of it. So when you're going for a thriller and you're going for a fairly fast-paced, as in action sequence, and trying to keep you on the edge of your seat, you need to shave off a lot of that, those pauses, a lot of those moments where the dialogue just strings out, a lot of those shots that are unnecessary. And then, unfortunately, I feel like there's at least half the series that could have been shaved off. The story could have easily been told. It's not actually that much of a complicated story once you get down to it, especially when the puzzle pieces are formed together. So though there are definitely pieces that I enjoyed about this, and I think the acting for the most part is okay, there are characters that I just didn't buy. There are monologues that other people are acting to each other that feels like they're read off the script, that's what they were like, they're actors rather than them becoming the characters. That's not to say I didn't enjoy moments. There are action sequences in amongst the 6 episodes that I thought were gripping. They are shot quite creatively from the beginning one to the end piece. There's also, it looks like faith that there's going to be a second season, because for the most part, the story's wrapped up, but there is a little helping of a certain character that I'm not going to give away, that is there at the end, kind of taking the place as a result of what has happened. So I thought that was quite nice. There's this thing that unfolds in the storylines, and for the most part you feel satisfied with what has happened, but then as a consequence for their actions of what has happened, you see that new players could be involved in what is happening in the city. It does very much speak to politics and religion and culture, puts that all together in a dramatic story. And I appreciated the skill it must have taken to kind of craft this world, make it feel very lived in. Like I said, it does feel like that. So between the vibrancy and the score and some of the acting, some of the action scenes, I didn't mind those, but I do feel like it was very drawn out and very slow. Slow burn, and even once you get to the end, you're like, I knew where this was going, I knew who was involved. So it doesn't really bring massively anything fresh to the table. It could be a dramatic soap in that kind of light, but it's only 6 episodes. I think had this been one of those unique British series, stuck to the hour parts but just do 3 episodes, that would have helped it somewhat. So I'm going to give this 2.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. Thanks so much for watching this. Let me know in the comments below, do you like this sort of thing? What is your favorite series like this on Netflix that maybe I could stick on my list that I will enjoy more than this one? Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.